27 years ago, we made that movie right in this neck of the woods. Although nothing, we were trying to rack our brains. I don't think we shot any part of it in Atlantic Islands or anything like that. Mostly Red Bend. This was the movie that for years was the umbrella movie in my career, which means like no matter what you do, you can make yoga hosers and people are like, well, fuck, at least he made Chasing Amy. And then it has aged differently. It's become problematic for some folks and whatnot. They made a whole ass documentary about it. Sav Rogers made a wonderful documentary called Chasing Amy, which is going to open the Smodcastle Film Festival on October 12th. You can watch it right away. Really great doc and stuff. But yeah, man, fuck. Whenever I look at that picture, it just reminds me of one of the best times of my life, man, where I was like growing up, figure out who I was as an artist. Suddenly, like, you know, only a few years prior, there was a dream about being a filmmaker, and suddenly I was an established filmmaker. I had made 2 movies. One was overpraised and one was over fucking abused. And then suddenly, you know, we were at this place where we had everything to prove and nothing to lose. So all of us across the boards, me, Jason Lee, Ben Affleck, and Joey, each had like kind of something to prove and nothing to lose. And because of that, we left it all on the floor, so to speak. Like that movie is nothing if not like a bleeding, beating fucking heart. And that's because we were all young enough to be able to pour ourselves into it. So when it rolls, when it plays here, because it played here a few months ago with Jason Lee and whatnot, I'm just reminded of one of the most artistically satisfying times of my entire life, man. You meet people who bring stuff out of you. And I met somebody who brought the absolute fucking best out of me, and it eventually resulted in this movie. Welcome back to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Joey Lauren Adams. So we were upstairs talking, and I was telling Joey there's a moment in the 4:30 movie where one of the characters tells another character that he's like the funniest person they ever met. And that's something that I took from our relationship. One time Joey told me that, and it's been fucking 27 years, and periodically, like just upstairs, I still check in to be like, am I still the funniest person you ever met?
And he is.
Very, very sweet. Okay, man. Magical movie, set in a magical time when we were all very young and shit like that. I'm sure you've got a lot of questions. Let's turn it over to you. Bang, go.
So, in Reboot, obviously you have a little mini Chasing Amy reunion in that, but Hooper and Bank, you're conspicuous by their absence. Would you like to revisit those 2 characters together, maybe as an old married couple at some point?
We got a taste of them as the bickering married couple in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back as they were coming out of the theater. So it would be nice to kind of look back in on them and see where they are in their relationship. Maybe they're like my brother and his husband, and they've been married for fucking like 30 years and shit, which is like 100 years in straight people years. So yes, there's definitely some gas in that fucking tank. I would pursue that story. All right, where are we gonna go? Yes.
So, aside from being directing, I've always enjoyed your use of music in the movies.
Thank
He
you.
said, Joey, can you sing the song from the movie for us right now?
Only if I can sing the original version.
That's right. What was the original? The original version is more country.
It's country song. It was Where Are You, Darling?
Never mind.
And Kevin's like, that's not gonna fly.
So what did he say in the movie? Where Are You, Baby?
But
Can you sing the original country version? Like a few bars of it?
I'm feeling nothing. Just missing someone. We worked so hard in the studio because I can't sing.
Well, you had written a song, and it had nothing to do with us. You just written a song at one point.
Yeah, I think I wrote it before we met.
Before we
Yeah.
met. And I remember one day you were like playing it, and I was like, "You fucking, what do you mean you wrote a song?" You're like, "Oh, I just wrote a song. This is my song. I wrote this song."
My memory is you were like, oh yeah, cool, you wrote a song. I'm gonna use a song from the Jungle Book.
Castle in Spain.
That's the song you wanted me to sing, right?
Yeah, originally.
And so, but then you found out how
Excellent memory.
expensive it was.
Yeah.
And he's like, didn't you write a song?
Where's that free country corn poet song that you wrote that one time? And we did. It was a discussion about like, well, you could take that, but what if we just like made it more of a torch
Can
song?
you sing the song you wanted me to sing?
Castle in Spain?
Yeah.
In our castle in Spain, we'll be living rent free. I'm not gonna keep going. You only did like 4 words and shit. Yes, I can. Yours, but
I'll
go.
do it first. And where are you, darling? Now you do it.
In our castle in Spain. Thank God you had written that fucking song, because then we had something that fit a little bit better, man. Like I remember,
I think it did.
you were, yeah, way more than Castle in Spain. You were, very excited. I remember being like, hey, I'm gonna use that song, but we're gonna. And at first you were like, oh my God, great! I love country music. I was like, we're not gonna do that version of the song. But there's a lot of that. We were talking upstairs. Somebody who brought the birds painting here. You did?
Nice.
So my man here, Joe, where'd you come from?
Annapolis, Maryland.
Annapolis, Maryland. Fucking wow, that's funny.
You guys are getting, I hope everything you own there is okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By the storm?
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Don't fucking scare her. You're gonna have a good time. You're like, you're gonna burn, and all your shit's gonna drown.
I think he knows that it's
I'm feeling the pain.
And where are you, darling? Where can you be?
I'm done. Fuck. All right, so he brought the painting that they, in the movie, the Dashevsky, the birds, bought at a diner. Where'd you get it? When we did the auction
yeah.
years ago?
2011.
So he brought it here, and Ernie brought it upstairs for us to sign, and Joey was like, oh, I have the original. And I was like, no, this is the original. And then I remembered that literally happened. So like me and Joey were at the diner, which is now the King's Arm, but was the Marina Diner. And she saw a piece of artwork that she really liked, and she was like, I'm gonna buy that. And I was like, they don't sell the art on the wall. And she's like, everything's for sale. And she went up to the counter, and she was like, I want to buy that painting. And they were fucking flummoxed. They were like, well, we're not selling it. She was like, everything's for sale. And they got, I think it was like $200 or some such shit. And so she bought this piece of artwork, which apparently you still have.
I do still have it.
So I remember when I was writing the script, I wrote that scene in because I just thought it was charming as fuck. And when you read the scene, you were like, this happened. I was like, yes, it did. All right, where do we want to go next? Yes.
Okay, my question's in 2 parts. So I really appreciated the sort of like old school like New York lesbian tropes when they're sitting at that table. And my questions are, were you like hanging out with a lot of lesbians? And when this movie came out, did you get a lot of phone calls like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like no, from your friends. I'm sure you got like shade from people you didn't know.
Totally. No, Gwen Turner, who's in the movie, and she's the one that brings Joey up to sing on stage and shit. She had written Go Fish, which had debuted at Sundance the same year as Clerks. And it was the black and white girls movie. We were the black and white boys movie. It's celebrating its 30th anniversary this year at Sundance. It's a landmark lesbian film, gay lesbian film. So me and Scott Mosier started hanging out with Rose Trichet, the director, and Gwen Turner. We were both represented by John Pearson. And Scott and Gwen particularly like really hit it off, and then started hanging out past the festival. Like she would come down to Red Bank and just hang out with Scott for like all weekend and shit. And it was clear that Scott had feelings for Gwen, even though Gwen was decidedly gay. So I was telling Mojo, I was like, you should fucking write a movie about that, man. You should write a movie about a guy who falls in love with a lesbian. He's like, I don't want to do that. I was like, I'll do it. And so Gwen was around when I was writing it. The first draft of the script, when I was finished, I sent it to Gwen because I didn't have a fucking voluminous knowledge, and still don't, about like the lesbian community and stuff. So I sent Gwen the script, and I was like, "Can you proofread it? You know, to see if like I'm close or if I fucked up or blah blah blah." And the only thing she hit me back with was she was like, "What is tongue fucking?" And I was like, "You don't do that?" She goes, "No." And I was like, "I'll take it right the fuck out." Just seemed like it would be a thing. She was like, "Did you do a lot of guesswork?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, most of it is right." And so she was kind of the barometer. But she also told me early on, she was like, "Kevin, there are going to be some lesbians that hate this movie." And I was like, "Really? Why?" She's like, "Because you have the main character winding up with a man. Like, that's, why would you do something like that if you weren't trying to make people mad?" And I was like, "Well, it's not, I'm not trying to outrage people, I'm just trying to tell a star-crossed love story and shit." And she's like, "And I'm sure a lot of people will receive it that way, some people won't." And there was definitely a faction of folks that didn't receive it that way. Now, the internet wasn't as widespread in 1997, so I didn't get a bunch of feedback from the world like I would today and do today. So my recollection of Chasing Amy when it came out was like, oh, there were really no issues. Like, but there were. Like, I remember Ellen DeGeneres and Anne Heche went to see the movie and walked out in the first 10 minutes.
Oh.
And that was like America's most well-known lesbian who was just like negative. So there was a little bit of shit, but not a lot. It has changed over the years. Like now with the advent of the internet and a whole new generation finding this movie, I hear from people all the time who are like, "This movie's outrageous. How could you?" Blah blah blah. No, go ahead.
But there's, like, did you put that, because she does give the speech
Yeah.
where she's like, honestly, like more bisexual, but just to, right? Like that
Yes.
didn't smooth things over.
Yeah, and that's, the internet is so good at nuance. Yeah, there was.
I just thought that was beautiful. That she was just like, it's hard enough to find that one person, and why limit yourself?
I'm with you. I agree. We just did in Chasing Amy in Sav's documentary. They have this professor of bisexual studies who like says it. Kevin Smith, by accident, gives an incredibly eloquent explanation of what it's like to be bisexual. You know, and I was like, it wasn't necessarily by accident. You know, I didn't arrange the words. But yeah, it's still there's some people that bump into the movie. See, they tend to be younger. People who weren't around, people who were like come when the movie came out and shit. Because, you know, it's a lot of people who are like, you can't say this sort of thing. And it's like, well, when we made the movie, we were like, you got to remember, it was a progressive movie in 1997.
So I did this radio show in Arkansas, but the woman did some research, and she said it was like the first kind of mainstream lesbian kiss.
Is that
That's
right?
what she read on the waves.
I'll fucking take it. All right, where do we want to go next? Yes.
Joey, how did you feel getting nominated for a Golden Globe?
Yeah, Joey got nominated for a Golden Globe.
Remember the conversation we had? I can't remember if you're at my house or you called me.
Which conversation are you talking about?
When you were like, you're not gonna win.
No, go ahead, tell that story. I literally was like, you're not gonna win?
Yeah, you're the dark horse. But it's great, kid, that you got nominated.
Why
You
am I
were
talking
right.
to you like I'm fucking 20 years older than you? It's great you got nominated, kid.
You were right.
What I remember is the night, like I wasn't there, but the night of the Golden Globes, not only were you nominated, but Ben and Matt were nominated for Good Will Hunting.
Yeah. That was such a crazy movie.
Good Will Hunting, they won for screenplay,
And they didn't think.
They got up and they thanked everybody except me and Scott.
Well, first it starts with like, cause Harvey never wanted any of us in Chasing Amy. I think he wanted Drew Barrymore, David Schwimmer, and Jon Stewart.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was gonna be your Chasing Amy, kids. That was the $3 million Chasing Amy right there. So we made the $250,000 Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
$3 million you get Drew Barrymore.
Right.
$250K get Joey.
That's why I don't think that painting was $200. I don't think I had that kind of money.
But he did, yeah. They didn't want.
No,
my
and
friend.
he never ever called to be like, I know I didn't want you, but you did a good job, kid.
There was no third act. Like, you know what? I was wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing that Harvey Weinstein ever did.
You never called.
No.
But then when I walked in, and it was like I was the dark horse. No one knew who I was.
For the Golden Globes.
Yeah, and I'm like walking down the red carpet, and like George Clooney was standing on my dress, and my mom was with me, and I was like, I can't tell George Clooney to get off my dress, and I just kind of stood there. And then my publicist was having to like force people to interview me because they didn't know who I was, and someone had done my hair really bad. I remember like they were doing it in my bedroom, and I walked out into the living room where my mom was, and my mom's face was like. I was
Always
like,
good
what?
sign.
Nothing weird because we're running late, and so we didn't eat. And we get there. I get right when I get inside. The first person I see is Harvey and his wife, and I'm like, oh Harvey, hey. And he goes, oh, why didn't you call me back? And I was like, oh my God, you did call. And I'm like, Harvey, I never got your call. And he said, yes, Renee, I called you yesterday. And his wife just goes, Harvey, that's not Renee. And it was the first time I'd seen Harvey speechless, kind of. So then I continued the evening and got really wasted because we hadn't eaten. And like the camera guy came up to me and he was like, who's John Boyd? Thank God I didn't win. Because then after the ceremony,
My ex-boyfriend told me I was the fucking dark horse. Fuck you, Silent Bill.
And I go up to bed and I'm like, hey, you didn't fucking think Kevin. And I think he borrowed a quarter from me or
No,
something.
the story that you told me and then Affleck backed up was fucking Affleck goes up and with Matt, they win, they don't thank us. Joey is a couple drinks in, goes over to Ben's table and throws a quarter at him and goes, you have a phone call to make.